through to you. The lights are on, but nobody's home. You say I can't understand, but you're not giving me a chance. When you leave me, where do you go? All the walls that you keep building, all this time that I spent chasing, all the ways that I keep losing you. And the truth is, you turn into someone else. You keep running like the sky is falling. I can whisper, I can yell, but I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I'm just talking to myself. Ooh, talking to myself. Ooh, talking to myself. Ooh, but I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I'm just talking to myself. I admit I made mistakes, but yours might cost you everything. Can't you hear me calling you home? Oh, all the walls that you keep building, all this time that I spend chasing, all the ways that I keep losing you. And the truth is, you turn into someone else. You keep running like the sky is falling. I can whisper, I can yell, but I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I'm just talking to myself. Ooh, talking to myself. Ooh, talking to myself. Ooh, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I'm just talking to myself. All the walls that you keep building, all this time that I spend chasing, all the ways that I keep losing you. And the truth is, you turn into someone else. You keep running like the sky is falling. I can whisper, I can yell, but I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I'm just talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. Yeah, I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I'm talking to myself.
And I'm looking for peace. Je suis là, face au mur, loin de ma liberté. La vie nous démature, je ne suis plus qui j'étais. Tous les jours j'entends dire que c'est la fatalité. Je peux plus dormir, plus sourire, où est l'humanité? Est-ce le bitume, est-ce l'amertume? And I'm looking for peace. Le temps me rappelle comme la vie est belle. L'amour me rappelle comme la vie est belle. And I'm looking for peace. Le temps me rappelle rien n'est éternel. L'amour me rappelle comme la vie est belle. And I'm looking for peace. Peace. And I'm looking for peace. Les journées, mois défilent, je suis paralysée. Apeurée, indocile, et me laisse figer. Comment sortir de ma planque, trouver la volonté? Tellement de réponses me manquent, où est la vérité? Est-ce le bitume, est-ce l'amertume? And I'm looking for peace. Le temps me rappelle comme la vie est belle. L'amour me rappelle comme la vie est belle. And I'm looking for peace. Le temps me rappelle rien n'est éternel. L'amour me rappelle comme bad, and I'm looking for peace. Peace. And I'm looking for peace.
Ground control. What do the books say about this one now? I think we've lost it all. There's nothing to explain the distances anymore. All systems are critical. Can't find my way back to you. Feels like there's nowhere to go. Oh, oh, I'm just out here waiting for you to say,
Don't be afraid, no. If you start floating away, I promise you we'll be fine. The universe on your side when you're out in space. Don't you be afraid, no. If you start floating away, I promise you we'll be fine. The universe on your side when you're out in space. Don't you be afraid, no. If you start floating away.
checking in. 300 days with no reply now. I think I've lost my mind. There's nothing keeping me from going outside anymore. My systems are critical. Gotta find my way back to you. Feels like I'm drifting along. I'm just out here wishing that you would say,
Don't be afraid, no. If you start floating away, I promise you we'll be fine. The universe on your side when you're out in space. Don't you be afraid, no. If you start floating away, I promise you we'll be fine. The universe on your side when you're out in space. Don't you be afraid, no. If you start floating away.
What if you lost yourself? Would you try to find your way through someone else? I know you feel alone, reflecting on your faults just like a mirror ball. I've been rejecting all the modern lies. Hold up, I've been awake for such a long time. Hold up, hold up, hold up.
there's nothing that you gave it all. Nothing's unavailable. You gotta feel before you fall. Cut me off, you cut me off, you cut me out.
guys? Welcome to another day here at the GSL Codas. We have a lot of Terrans. They're the best ones you could ask for. So we're going to be learning a lot about the matchup TVT here tonight. I'm Tasis, joining me as Artosis, and I am glad to be back here casting the GSL. We just wrapped up a fantastic finals at the ASL. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah, Terran winning there just like they will win tonight.
That's right.
Of course, 2 TVTs.
Team Humans doing well.
Yeah. I mean, these are just ridiculously high-level players at the moment. Innovation really the only top-end Terran missing, but let me tell you, GuMiho is more than enough of a replacement at the moment. This guy is on fire. So there you have our matches for the day, 2 TVTs, and then, of course, a PvP and a ZVZ tomorrow, a different time than normal.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever had 4 best of 5s where it's only mirror matchups, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
When you think of how many seasons we've had at GSL, I guess eventually that was going to happen. So that's cool. Knock that off of our bucket list.
Sure. And then, of course, the finals will be a TVP or a TVZ. Not really sure what that'll be, but there's so many great storylines that could occur with that bracket, too.
Sure.
Like, for instance, round of 4, we could have a rematch of last season's finals. We could have Sue in the finals once again. We could have TY revisiting another Beyond Championship. Who knows, man?
By the way, the winner of whoever comes out on top in the finals of this side of the bracket is going to be the best Terran vs. Terran player in the world right now, currently. I think that's safe to say. We're going to be finding that out in the weeks to come, but you got to say that out of these guys, whoever can come out on top in a little mini bracket like this is really the best.
Well, we're literally only missing 3 Terrans that even count, right? There's like Alive, Ryung, and Innovation are the only other 3 Terrans that you can really put at this level. And looking at this, I would say almost 100% certainly the winner of GuMiho TY is going to make it to the final stage. So these guys are monsters.
All right, we're going to go to a quick interview, see what our players are thinking. Oh, excuse me, a video interview. We'll be right back.
8강을 최근에 못 간 적이 없는 것 같은데 이렇게 힘들게 8강 간 적은 또 처음인 것 같아요. 그래서 더욱더 뜻깊은 것 같고
항상 긴장되는데 예상외로 쉽게 이겨서 기쁘고 그리고 더 잘할 수 있을 것 같다는 자신감이 많이 생겼어요. 전태양 선수 A, 찌르게 날카롭고 그리고 최근에 제일 잘하는 테란 중 한 명이라고 생각합니다.
공격력은 A. 워낙 빌드를 많이 짜시는데 그 짜는 빌드마다 대부분 다 공격적인 빌드예요. 수비적인 운영을 하는 거를 제가 한 번도 본 적이 없고 그래서 그 공격성만큼 정말 뛰어나다고 생각을 해서 A를 줬습니다.
수비력도 A. 가끔 보면 어떻게 저런 걸 막지 이렇게 생각될 때가 좀 많아요.
수비력은 B? 약간 다른 부분에 비해서 좀 모자라지 않나 생각해요. 너무 공격에 치중하다 보니까 가끔 수비가 약하실 때가 있더라고요.
에이, 다 A인데? 이래서 만나고 싶지가 않아요. 전략도 되게 까다로워요.
S죠. 고병재 선수는 그냥 전략으로 게임한다고 생각하는 게이머 중 한 명이에요.
이것도 A. 그러니까 최근에 완전 물이 올랐다고 생각했어요. 제가 봤을 때.
피셜 S는 안 주는 거야?
S는 지금 현 시점에 탑인 사람들한테 주는 거예요. 제가 생각했을 때 피지컬 S, 현우.
고병재 선수가 저랑 8강 할 때 느끼겠죠. 제가 A인지 S인지. 저 고병재 선수보다는 피지컬이 좋다고 생각을 하기 때문에 그래서 한 단계 저보다 밑에?
멘탈 A. 제가 2억 방 할 때 올인 치는 거 보면서 이거는 멘탈이 세다고 느꼈어요. 그 대회 보고 약간 이미지가 많이 바뀌었어요. 그때는 제가 생각했을 때 공격력 수비력도 그렇게 높다고 생각 안 했는데 그때 경기 보면서 그런 게 되게 높다고 생각이 들었어요.
S 받아야 되는 거 아니에요? 근데 멘탈은 B? 큰 대회에서 제가 이겨본 경험이 그래도 고병재 선수한테 있기 때문에 큰 대회는 보통 멘탈 싸움이 굉장히 크거든요. 그래서 멘탈도 고병재 선수보다는 조금 더 낫지 않을까 생각해요.
수소통 A? 게임도 재밌게 하고 전략도 특이하고 그리고 어렸을 때부터 해가지고 약간 팬분들도 많은 것 같고
스타성은 저는 A 보고 있어요. SNS를 하면은 고병재 선수가 가끔씩 많이 올라오더라고요. 그 판넬 맞는 게 올라오는 거 보고 좀 부럽기도 하고 스타성도 그런 부분에서 좀 어느 정도는 좀 있는 것 같아요.
잠깐만요. 정말 만나기 싫었는데 뭐 만나게 됐으니까 어쩔 수 없고 오늘 극복해서 이기고 올라가서 꼭 우승하도록 좋겠습니다. 전태양 선수한테만 좀 사릴게요. 제가 만나면 질 확률이 좀 높다고 생각해서.
고병기 선수 8강에서 만났네요. 저희 IM 월드 챔피언십에서도 8강에서 만난 것 같은데 그때 다시 한번 기억 떠올리게 해드리고 전략 같은 것도 모조리 다 막아드리겠습니다.
I enjoyed that.
That was really cool, and I think that it was really accurate on their sides. I was surprised
Yeah.
by the S given
한전
from TY
최강의 태태전이
to GuMi,
줄줄이
but
기다리고 있는
I like that a lot. That was cool.
먼저 8강
We're going to go on now to the live interview. Get a few thoughts from these two players, see what they want to say to each other face to face before we start this match.
자, 현재까지 전승으로 위기 없이
They'll be going
올라왔습니다.
to
오늘
GuMiho
경기
first.
중요성 얼마나 생각하고 계세요?
네, 오늘
You haven't lost up till now. What do you have to say?
안 가도 되기 때문에 상당히 중요하다고 생각하고 전승 기세 이어서 3대 0으로
I think tonight's match is really
근데
important.
상대가 가장 만나기 싫은 상대네요.
I really want to win today. I don't want to have to go through the
기조
qualifiers.
보면서 좀 기도를 많이 했는데
네.
역시 기도는 잘 안 통하더라고요.
네.
그래서 제가
When I look at
스스로
Group B's
극복하는 수밖에 없는
matches,
것 같아요.
그렇죠. 자, 한편 전태양 선수 죽음의 조 BSL 뚫고 올라왔습니다.
I didn't want to face TY, but here I am now.
그리고 만난 고병재
My
선수
prayers didn't work.
어떠세요?
일단 BSL 뚫고 나서 이거는 이 조를 뚫었으니까 누굴 만나도 이기겠다는 생각을 갖고
After I made my
있었는데
groups.
최근에 고병지 선수가 워낙 분위기가 좋다는 얘기를 많이 들어가지고
네.
오늘
I think whoever I meet, I can beat anybody.
힘들 거라고 생각을 하고
But I have to say,
경기장에
GuMiho's been
왔습니다.
playing really
힘들
well.
거라고 생각은
gonna be very
하는데
tough.
공호의 유산에서 상대 전적이 매치별로 따졌을 때 완승이에요. 경기별로 이건 자신감이 있을
But when you look at your win rates against GuMiho,
네, 아무래도
Legacy of the Void
후반으로
especially, you've
마지막
been very
세트로 가게 되면은 제가 조금 더 약간 집중력이 올라가는 것 같고, 근데 이긴
well, if I have won
가전제도
games,
대부분 다 풀세트였기 때문에
especially if I have more
그런 부분에
matches in
있어서
the
제가
series,
실력적으로 많이 앞서 있다는 생각이
I think my odds are increased.
좀 멘탈을 좀 더
So in
집중해서
terms of skills, I think we're pretty
이겨야 될것
much
같아요.
even.
네. 자,
But
사전에 저희가 서로에게
in terms of the
점수를
mentality and who can
줬었죠.
last, I think I'm better.
서로에게 A도 있고 S도 있고 B도 있고
So before we have our
이렇게 점수를
matches,
줬었는데 먼저 고병재 선수, 전태양 선수에게
the two players
올
gave
A를
grades to each
주셨어요.
others.
아, 네.
GuMiho,
종합적으로 상당히
you gave all
뛰어나다고
A's to TY. Tell us about
네.
that.
정말 만나기 싫었는데
네.
Yeah, overall,
그래도
TY is an outstanding player.
S가 하나도 없는 만큼
I really didn't want to meet him.
네.
그 점을
And
잘
since he didn't get
공략해서
any
이겨보도록
S grade,
하겠습니다.
네, 올 A는 줬지만 S는
I guess I could take that as an
없더라고요. 그
advantage.
점에서 어떠세요? 받아보시고 만족하셨어요?
what do you think about his comments? You didn't get a single S in his
딱히
grades.
모난 부분은 없다고 생각을 해서 만족을 하긴 해야 되는데
네.
그래도
Well, I guess there's no such drawback in my
하나쯤
skills.
있었으면 좀 괜찮았을 것 같은데
네.
좀 아쉽고 그게 제 좀 현 주소인 것
Personally, if
같고
there's one
네.
list one S, I would have been kind of happy with that.
네,
But
전태양 선수가 점수 매긴 거
probably
보니까
I'll have to practice harder to get an S, at least in GuMiho's eyes.
B가 3개 있더라고요.
네.
But TY,
냉정한 평가인 것 같은데
you gave
어떠세요?
GuMiho
솔직히 그때까지만
And
해도
S on his strategy.
그렇게 생각을 했었는데 최근에 고병재 선수가
네.
그 온라인 대회에서 너무 잘하는
Well, when I had
모습을
the
많이
interviews,
보여주셔가지고
네.
그때 저 인터뷰한 때에 비해서
I had
모든
thoughts about
레벨을
GuMiho
한 단계씩
recently.
좀 올렸다고
changed my
생각을
thoughts
하고
up.
있고
네.
정말 좀 어려운 상대라고 생각을 하고
I
왔어요.
guess he's been stepping up in every aspect.
위로가 되세요?
He's a very good player.
조금 위로가 되긴 하는데
네.
그래도 제가
What do you have to say
저도
about his
오늘
comments?
온라인
GuMiho,
대회에서 하는
he
것만큼
says-
좀 했으면 좋겠어요. 좀
네.
경기력이 안 나올까 봐 걱정인데
I think as long as I can
큰
play,
힘이 되네요 제가.
네, 이렇게 서로에게
If I play like I play
냉정한
online, I'll
평가도
win.
하고 이제 결전을 앞두고 있습니다. 이번에 지면 끝이거든요. 또 멀리서 올라왔는데 질 수 없죠.
If you're
서로에게
eliminated tonight,
강력한 한마디씩 나누고 오늘 경기 시작하겠습니다. 먼저
that'll be the end of your
고병재
story in
선수.
the season. So,
네.
any words to say to each other before we start?
어려운
GuMiho, you
상대인
go first.
만큼 정말 많이 준비했고 그걸 다 보여드릴 수
Well, since
있도록
I have a very tough opponent,
네,
I prepared so hard for tonight. I hope I show you guys some awesome stuff I've got planned. What
일단
about you,
제가
TY?
가장 자신 있어하는 태태전인 만큼 집중해서 꼭
TBT
다음 주에
is-
시드까지 확보를 하고 결승 진출에 한
I'm the most confident in that
다가갈 수 있도록
matchup.
열심히 하겠습니다.
네, 자, 두 선수 모두
I'm gonna do my
막강한
best to
기세로
advance.
올라왔는데요. 과연 승자는 누구일지 8강 1경기 본격적으로 시작하겠습니다.
All right, we are ready to get this series going. I'm excited, Artie. I think that even though most people who've been following StarCraft for a while might be saying GuMiho is the weakest out of the 4 Terrans, I don't know if they're right about that.
I think right now they're definitely wrong, even though
Yeah.
he doesn't really have the sustained ridiculousness of the Four Horsemen, he is of their level or better at this moment. Like, he has been killing it in every single thing that he has played in. You look at his online results, they're second to none. You just look at his overall play, he's been strategically on top of Terran since Super Tournament, at least. In my opinion, he's been as good strategically as TY or better. And he's monstrous. He can win this season. It is a real thing that finally, after 7 years of having GuMiho and Code S, and I don't remember exactly which his first season was, but like, he has been around for 7 years. We've known this guy, and he can win now. Like, he couldn't win before. There was never a time before where GuMiho could have won, right? He was never really of that level where, like, well, he can beat everyone. Right now, he can.
Well, you know, it's funny because you got a guy like you were saying here for 7 years. He's always been one of the top 32 or top 16 in the world, but it took him 7 years to push that up a few millimeters, a few centimeters,
those last
a few
few
degrees
percent are
to possibly make him now somebody who could win this entire tournament. So I'm very curious to see how he performs here. I think TY is a very worthy opponent and a very good litmus test to see if he actually can get into the round of 4 in this stage of Legacy of the Void in 2017.
Well, as I was saying before, I think whoever wins this is quite favored next week in the round of 4, because while Byun and Maru are both really, really strong, I feel like their strengths are better suited against Zerg and Protoss rather than Terran, where these guys are just stone-faced killers of Terran.
That being said, we may end up, out of these 4 Terrans that we have here, whoever gets to the finals of the GSL may be in a kind of odd situation, as they may be the best TVTers in the world, but unable to beat either a Zerg or a Protoss.
Yeah, that is kind of funny when you mention it, right? Like, let's say Su makes it to the finals. I think he'd rather face one of these two than like a Byun or a Maru. So maybe that'll work out in Su's favor. We'll see. But first things first, who do you think takes the stasis between GuMiho and TY?
I'm actually leaning on TY here, but if GuMiho wins, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I think when I have to do predictions for stuff like this, my predictions tend to be a little bit dull. I kind of just go off what our previous GSL code asses and a few other tournaments we've had.
Sure.
Then maybe how I've seen them play the last couple of times. Anyways, guys, this is our first best of 5 tonight. GuMiho versus TY. A fight to get to the final 4 of the GSL Codex. In the bottom right, in the blue, he is
Psystorm Gaming, GuMiho.
In unbelievable shape at the moment. Looking to make top 4 once again after a long time.
In the upper left, in the red, he is
Splice, TY.
And of course, TY is unstoppably good. He's so ridiculous. Winning Katowice, he's already got a spot at BlizzCon, right? He got like second last year in a Code S. He won WESG for 200 grand. Of course, Katowice for 100. It's like he's so good. And of course, he lost to Su 3-2 in the round of 8 last season, which was kind of funny.
No shame in that, really.
Yeah, and it was like Su barely killed him in Game 5, like right before TY got his transition off. So he's always a threat to take down tournaments at the moment. As far as where I think that this will go, I think that this map is a must-win for GuMiho. If you look at the map pool, it goes this, Ascension to Ire, Proxima, Whirlwind, and then I can't remember the 5th map, but it doesn't matter because GuMiho, like, this is the map where GuMiho's aggressive style should do well. There's a lot of easy ways that you can abuse terrain to attack. The only bases that are not easy to attack are the main base and the 3rd base. The natural is super easy to attack, the 4th base is super easy to attack, whichever one you take. And if GuMiho cannot take down TY here, I don't see much chance for him because TY plays an extremely defensive strategy, and this map is probably the worst for that.
I also think that this entire series is going to be GuMiho, the player with all the good builds, and TY, the player with all the good tactics. I think strategically they both are pretty even, but if you look at the way that TY is able to engage and outmaneuver his opponent, like right around the early mid-game going into late game, I feel like he's a little bit stronger, but the way that GuMiho opens up a lot of times can give him an edge.
Yeah, I actually agree with this quite a bit, Tasteless. And hold on, this is a very strange, weird build coming out of GuMiho.
That's exactly what this
Yeah, look
highlights
at this. He's brought a Marine. This is completely new. And this is going to allow him to kill off the SCV and force everything back for a moment.
And look at that. The fact that there's one Marine there means that it can basically keep the Reaper here of TY off of that command center. And this is really cool what we're seeing.
This is kind of hilarious that he's done this. Look at this. As long as GuMiho is dodging these mines, he gets to do this for a long time. And eventually, of course, it does get cleaned up. Ooh, the Reaper goes behind. But, oh my god, if he loses that.
Well, this might be the other problem is the Hellion can actually take that out. I wonder if there might be some reverse pressure that the TY can put on GuMiho now.
Yeah, he might be able to poke a little bit, but that's funny because the Reaper got stuck behind the Marine. That's the only reason he lost it there, or it would have gotten away. But that was That's GuMiho showing exactly what TY was saying. He's very creative in these early game aggressive strategies, and that little change of bringing up an additional Marine actually does quite a bit for him.
The Reaper's coming up now. Along with the Hellion, trying to do some damage over there to that one Hellion. So there's this we'll have to see, can he keep the Reaper alive while still damaging that Hellion? I think this is actually going to eventually force him back. Yeah, he doesn't have quite enough, but I like the idea. You know, TY is somebody who plays very well, relying purely on his instincts. Even if you throw him into a weird situation, he can usually try to curb that to his advantage.
He might be the most experienced player in this round of 8, when I'm thinking about it, is because he was a StarCraft 1 pro forever ago,
using
like 10
the ID
years ago.
baby.
Yeah.
I was casting him right when I got out here.
Yeah.
He was like a little kid.
He actually literally was a little kid.
He was a little kid.
That's why he's
it's
used
crazy.
baby.
Yeah.
But
eventually he didn't want to be called baby anymore because now he's a young man. But yeah, I mean, I think you are right, Artosis. This guy has so much experience. He's one of the few cases where we could say, oh, well, like this guy's been playing RTS for so long.
It's like part of his core being.
It's like when you see those like little kids that are like 6 years old and can beat grandmasters in chess.
Yeah.
And they've just been taught this at such an early age, how to be good at this.
He very much is like that. And that's what's so cool about TY, because it shows itself in his play that you've been talking about, where he's very flexible and tactically there's no one really better. But we can talk more about that in a second, because it looks like a lot of aggressions come out. There's like 3 or 4 Cyclones out, and GuMiho going for a little Marine drop.
I think if you ever think of the Cyclone, you have to think of GuMiho first before anybody else. Now, he's drawn some of the Marines over to this corner, but the Cyclones are now going to come up here into the front. Let's see how much damage they can actually do. There is one siege tank in place here, and I don't know if that's going to do anything at all. I was wondering when we saw the Cyclones coming up, I thought maybe he knew something that we didn't, but it seems like TY is just positioned to not lose anything. So taking some damage there on both the Medevac and the Cyclones.
Yeah.
I don't know if the units that GuMiho's chosen to get are going to allow him to be in a strong position later on, since TY's units have overall, composition-wise, more equity in the game.
I'm a little bit nervous about him, because this is what basically gets done every single game on this map by TY. He pushes out with some siege tanks and air control to harass your natural, and he took a lot of damage on those Cyclones, so they are not going to be full health going into this battle.
Yeah, he wants to repair them, but he might need them a little bit too quickly here. That's why we have some of these SCVs pulled right over here. Vikings coming up now. Cyclones beginning to drive this back. The Vikings landing down here to buffer, and TY is going to win this fight.
Yeah, he actually slaughters that fight, and with this type of air control, this many Marines and siege tanks, he can just siege up this natural and gain a huge amount of value. The push by GuMiho in the front with those Cyclones just really did not pay off.
He's going to land these Vikings right on top of this tank. There's some SCVs to repair, but there's too much damage being output for anything that can respond here from GuMiho, and that's it. A short and sweet game. GG. Kind of like we were saying earlier before the game picked up. One player with the strategies, the other one with the tactics, and in this case, tactics came out on top. TY with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit nervous for GuMiho, because he said he practiced really hard for this, but I think he might mean that very literally, like he just played a lot of games to prepare. And I think that against TY, that is not what you're looking for. Like, TY is actually quite predictable. Every single game you see of him on TBT on Abyssal, he does this strategy. So when GuMiho took all that damage on those Cyclones, TY's like, okay, that's a free push. You know, he just won with that basic, simple maneuver that he does on this map every time.
It's pretty funny because when you look at TY, he reminds me of any of those players where, you like learn a new strategy, you're trying something on the ladder, and it seems to be working, and you're like, oh, I got this great trick up my sleeve. And then you'll encounter that one player, and they just do not have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when GuMiho practiced that style of opener against that build that TY was using to start things off, usually he does a lot more damage and can lock them into a strategy. GuMiho's strategy can lock it in so that he can keep doing damage and keep snowballing that. Not with TY.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here on map number 2.
In a cloud of fire we stand. Fight, we start war. Are you ready to fight?
In the upper left, in the blue, he is.
Storm Gaming, GuMiho.
Definitely going to have to play more counter to TY's style if he's going to take this series down.
And in the bottom right, in the red,
Splice, TY.
I think my voice is still a little bit hoarse from that ASL finals, man. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the raspiness. I don't know if I sound like it, but I can definitely feel it. A little bit of tightness in my throat. Yeah, rapsels over here. Crapsels if I start to sound any worse.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, you got to be careful, though, Tasteless. Your voice starts sounding like that, everyone's going to be messaging you, Tasteless, cigarettes.
You're smoking, Tasteless. I'm like, guys, I quit smoking like 3 years ago. Do you remember when I was a smoker and people be like, well, that's... If I ever sound hoarse, people are like, well, he is a smoker, that's why his voice is hoarse. I'm like, guys, I'm not a smoker at 60.
Yeah, like over time, cigarettes do change your voice. I wonder how quickly that actually occurs. But
it probably varies from the person, and also probably how much they actually smoked at the time. But yeah, man, I remember that. Let's start the TYT. Greetings from Germany. Thanks for coming down.
Nice drawing of a spider there. But yeah, so looks like a couple of Reaper expands, quicker gas by TY. No biggie, but man, that really does worry me about GuMiho. That, taking all that damage, I'm not saying that he wins or holds that there, but, you're fighting with a yellow and a deep red Cyclone. That's you put so much money into these units. They did nothing. You killed one SCV and one heli and then had them damaged for the upcoming battle. And, the thing is, after he attacked, TY doesn't need to scan or anything. He sees all your units. You have a medevac with 7 Marines. You have 2 Cyclones. He understands that you have the same Terran buildings he has and the same build times. He's like, okay, I can push right now. Sometimes he pushes a bit later with that, 3-4 tanks. You're just push with 2, knowing that GuMiho just would not be able to do anything against that. And that it's hard because you have to play so much as a pro gamer. But I think when you have something like a best of 5 coming up and you're playing against someone like TY who plays tactically almost the same all the time, because it's just the best way to play, you need to put some study time into that and be trying to counter what he's doing.
You can see that when those 2 Cyclones took that damage early on, it was an immediate decision, snap judgment call there by TY, and he actually, it paid off. And those Cyclones went back home. And you could see that GuMiho wanted to repair them, but the fact that TY moved out so quickly, the SCVs didn't even have time to repair. Those Cyclones would have had to join the rest of the fight later on, and by then TY would have already cleaned it up. But it's funny to see maybe one bad call there by GuMiho coming in and underestimating TY's defense.
Yeah.
That TY can actually not just punish you, but end the game with a victory.
Yeah. And, this is what TY is so good at. By the way, it looks like maybe the same exact build out of GuMiho here, but TY is going for quite a quick 3rd command center. I guess the saving grace would be that there is no abusable terrain for GuMiho, so if TY holds on and he's already making the quick 3rd command anyways, I don't think that the game will just end. But interesting that GuMiho is preferring this strategy at the moment.
Well, GuMiho always has had his own approach to the game, even when it came down to how much you harass. I think he's a much more refined player. I don't want to try to pigeon. We've said before GuMiho drops and he's so good at multitasking, but I think he's got a much more refined style now. But he sticks with those Cyclones. He sees this unit most certainly in a different way than any other Terran player we have, I think, in the world, to be honest. And he's going to try to push out here now. Now, this looks a little bit like the other strategy, except we didn't have the Reapers and the Marines coming in here to harass early on. So let's see if this actually works.
Ooh, look at this, dropping on top of the siege tank. Now, this is a pretty nice move right here, trying to get something done. Looks like he's going to be able to kill off maybe a couple supply. He was siege tank moving forward, and the Marines go into the main.
The Marines come down here now. There's been 3 SCVs picked off so far. The Cyclones have been bruised. 4 SCV kills now. I feel like when GuMiho practices this, it does a lot more damage. And so far, it's just not quite. I mean, 5 SCV kills is not bad, okay? But
yeah,
I have to say,
like what did he lose? A couple Marines for 5 SCV kills? Yeah, that's not too bad.
I mean, Cyclones are bruised. That's not really impactful. They can always be repaired. But I do wonder how this compares to what the other games that GuMiho has played are like. Is this a strategy or a style where he feels like he needs to do some damage, or does he just put the pressure on where TY has to defend, and if he doesn't defend perfectly and GuMiho doesn't hemorrhage any units, he basically comes out with a small lead worker-wise. That was cute.
Oh, loses one
good.
of them. A little bit less cute right there. Looks like he found a nice little sweet spot here with the Hellion, or the...
Oh, the tank can't quite hit it.
Yeah,
I actually thought it was going to hit it. I think TY thought that too.
Hey, 7 SCVs for a few Marines in a Cyclone. I think that's not bad because Cyclones don't really scale well in TVT. So that's kind of cool. The eBays of TY are actually quite a bit later. The Stim is quite a bit later. So I actually look at this, Tasteless, and I am liking where GuMiho has set himself up into this game. It looks like that is maybe closer to what he was trying for on Abyssal Reef.
Well, let's keep in mind, though, he's making Cyclones where the tank count for GuMiho is higher. And this game is a little bit like the last one, not entirely the same, but the idea is there, right? There's aggression from GuMiho. TY defends it, and then TY goes in for aggression. Now, is GuMiho actually ready for this? He's going to try to maybe get behind here to possibly cut off reinforcements or take out a unit in the back.
I love
no
this
Vikings
harassment.
with this just yet, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
I love this harassment that we're seeing, actually. The way that he's kind of chasing it around with the Cyclones in the medevac, trying to deal some damage to the tanks, slow it down as well. Looks like a siege tank in position for GuMiho, but a lot of auto turrets coming down right now, dropping those Cyclones on top of these siege tanks.
You know, I feel like I'm in Groundhog's Day, the TVT here. I think in that case, GuMiho did a little bit of a better job kind of holding that, but TY is still breaking through. The tank count is still superior. The Cyclones are not quite enough, and now we have the SCVs being pulled here. Tanks coming down here as well.
Oh, man, even an auto turret left over there, leaving one tank unsieged. Another tank comes up, lands the Vikings as well. It's too much damage.
Dude, is it going to be GG again?
It could be, yeah.
Are you serious?
This could be a very quick night.
This goes to show you what happens if one player has a tank count lead, even if it's this early where it's 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and the tank count lead with TY's control is enough that he could actually threaten the refinery here, maybe even push forward and try to hit the command center itself.
Yeah, this is kind of brutal. He's going to lose that gas for sure, it looks like. GuMiho is making some Vikings, so it looks like he wants to try to take air control, and then he could push this back. But this is a very annoying setup, to say the least.
Now, this is pretty ballsy here by GuMiho. He's actually sending his entire Marine army over here to do a big drop. There's just a tank over here to defend. I don't know if TY is privy to the fact that there are hardly any Marines defending back here. This drop could be huge.
Yeah, this could be a massive amount of damage incoming. The tank kind of spread out from everything else. One medevac going down this way. A big scan to see what's here. And at least this base isn't going to make it.
He's coming down now, dropping a tank, and the rest of these Marines stimming and taking out so many SCVs. It looks like about a dozen will be picked off before they can retreat. The CC has been lifted. It's 2 base versus 2 base for the time being.
Wow, this is a lot of damage. He's going to be able to take down this command center for sure. Down it goes. But TY has come back with a few of his air units. He left some units up at GuMiho's base. And GuMiho, I think, can probably clear those pretty soon, especially if he brings back any of these units that he has.
So, we have a kind of odd situation here. Keep in mind that I don't believe there's that much that can actually transport either army back for as far as what's containing on either side, right? It's just tanks over there. Hold up. We have GuMiho actually trying to push in here right now, realizing he has a superior number of Marines. He stims, glides by most of these auto turrets. Actually, there was enough auto turrets. He actually forced them back. They're nicely done. I thought he was going to just continue to slide through. Meanwhile, because this contain was not reinforced, eventually GuMiho can clean that up. This game has been down and dirty. It's been very messy. Summing it up now, it's 2 base versus 2 base with the slightest supply and worker lead here for GuMiho.
But let's not forget, GuMiho, he's getting his 2-2 a little bit quicker, and he didn't lose the command center. He just floated his away when it was under attack. And then TY staying over there, maybe a little bit greedily hitting that gas with a small amount of units, so that when the counterattack came, he had almost nothing at home. And then he, like, what are you going to do? Just unsiege and walk home? The Marines can catch him on the way. He, like, forfeited all those tanks. So now looking at this game, TY went from a position in which it looked like he might even get a quick GG to GuMiho stabbing him back and taking the lead.
Yeah, GuMiho showing that he is a resilient player and has got tactics of his own. That was a good split decision right there to suddenly pick up and try to dive on top of that third base there for TY, and it worked.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it really looked like what TY was looking for out of GuMiho was GuMiho getting annoyed with this push at his front and trying to break it cost and efficiently. But GuMiho was just like, okay, look, do a little bit of damage there, and I'm going to go and try to maim you.
And if you look now at the minimap, it's going to be 4 bases to 3. So TY is in the deficit. He needs to try to come back. And GuMiho notices immediately that TY seems to be in the middle of the map and picks up, hoping to punish TY once again. Now, TY seems to be aware, not because he saw those 2 medevacs, but he didn't see anything outside the entrance or that middle area. It was completely absent. So he knows perhaps GuMiho is going to try to come in here and do a drop of his own.
Luckily, that SCV scouted what was incoming. That might give him time to get in here and stop this drop. Looks like it will. GuMiho going to be able to boost out, though.
Keep in mind, if GuMiho overextends with some of these attacks of his own, it can allow TY to have the momentum to try to come out here and do this. Oh, man. And this is exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Cleaning up those 2 medevacs is going to give TY a much more substantial army to have an overall fight in the middle of the map if TY decides to do that.
That was a great punishment right there by TY, chasing that down perfectly. And, was this a little bit too greedy by GuMiho? Suddenly we're getting tied up. He is going to have a 2-2 advantage for a little bit, but that was kind of a big loss. It was like 20 army supply down the tubes.
We have Marines headed southbound. We have no medevacs. Yeah, I'm looking at the mini map just to see if there's anything else over there. It's kind of not what you expect. It's just to see Marines moving around.
Yeah.
But now GuMiho is moving out with the rest of his army. We may end up with these 2 armies clashing in the middle of the map.
Well, right now, TY is getting a better pushing army. He's getting a few Liberators mixed in, right? So if you have Viking control and you just add in a couple Liberators, suddenly your siege tanks can push down your opponents because you just put the edge of that Liberation Zone on the siege tank, and they have to unsiege and walk back. It's not like you can stim up and kill those Liberators, not if the siege tanks are blocking for that. So TY is giving himself a way to push in right now and get a lot of damage done.
Okay, we have the army now for TY pushing out. He's getting into position. Is GuMiho going to be prepared? It seems like GuMiho should be fine here, but actually with these liberation zones and the fact that these tanks can hit these Marines, actually he put that out too far. I'm sorry.
He did. just after I got done talking about.
Because it's TY, I'm like, no, those are fine. And then of course it's not. You just look at the distance here. Hold up, he's stemming forward. Coming through now. There is not enough Marines there. In fact, many of them bruised just from some of those tank shots there earlier. I guess in some ways, even though the Liberators died, the tanks did do enough splash to have those Marines softened up. He meant to do it all along, Artosis.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with
it was all part of his plan.
Brilliant. 29 SCVs going down here. TY maintains a higher economy, a higher army advantage.
Look at this. He's just slipping through the top here.
Yeah.
TY is pretty scary when you get to this phase of TVT, when you have a lot of bases, you have a lot of different ways you can attack in here. There's a lot more locations that GuMiho has to defend. And TY is now zipping over to a naked third base in the center left. You can see that so much of GuMiho's focus is to just reclaim this location over here. He's actually neglecting his third with all these SCVs.
Oh, a huge move here by TY. This could be almost a finishing blow, but the SCVs running away, coming back to repair.
Good control there by GuMiho.
Yeah, that was
not losing SCVs really compared to how much he could have lost.
He could have
lost
every
CC
SCV.
either.
Oh, man, but look at that. TY just jumps upon him every time GuMiho is out of position for a moment. TY dealing huge amounts of damage.
Now, this is dicey here from GuMiho. GuMiho has actually slipped in between the 2 armies with a huge drop of his own. And he is going to be headed over here. But TY is not stopping. The push is coming through. We may have a base trade where it's possible that TY just has more of everything and can start to wipe things out at a faster rate.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. GuMiho, though, has a lot of Marines. He's trying to get this damage done. His 3-3 will finish sooner, which is kind of nice, but TY definitely doing some damage on the other side of the map as well.
Okay, takes out the CC right over there. No more gas being mined from those two locations. TY now coming back at the same time, pushing through. GuMiho does not have enough to hold on in this position where, as GuMiho inside the main area for TY, he is still doing a lot of damage and hitting the SCVs.
SCVs get pulled away. TY still producing. Let's not forget he has that fourth base up to the north that's mining, and that's going to allow him to continue to produce a lot, whereas GuMiho is sitting here with 11 SCVs and only his natural up.
Yeah, and compared to the 40 SCVs that TY has, TY just has a better macro engine on his side of the map. We see finally GuMiho able to reclaim an expansion he can adequately mine from. The question is, can he keep it? Because TY is not going to stop trying to lean on his opponent. Oh! The 2 minute X for the most units, though. GG. TY takes game number 2, bringing him to a 2-0 lead in this best of 5.
Yeah, and we haven't even, these are great moves by TY, but we haven't even entered the phases of the game where he becomes stronger, which is as we get later and later and later after these early aggressive moves, he turtles like a monster. So GuMiho being shut down hard so far. Yeah, he fought back when TY maybe overextended on that initial push, but even then, TY finds a way right back in.
You can see GuMiho very flustered back there. Very much so. Annoyed and disappointed. I think he's making some good plays, but these TVTs between these two, it's been a real brawl, excuse me. And I just feel like you have a better boxer. TY throws heavier punches. And even though GuMiho, he's got some good strategies, he's pretty smart with the idea of what he's doing, TY just shuts it down.
Yeah.
Especially in the head-to-head engages with the big armies.
Oh, he's positionally like there isn't a better player. Well, you saw it. TY gets all A's from GuMiho, and it's kind of showing through here tonight so far. Proxima Station going to be map number 3.
Stand, fight, heaven shall burn. In a cloud of fire we stand. Fight, wings are war. Are you ready to fight? Yeah!
In the bottom left, in the blue, he is
Psystorm Gaming, GuMiho.
Let's keep the shot up a little bit longer. There we go. In the upper right, in the red.
Splice, TY.
So, at least on this map, TY can't kill you too fast, right? Like, you get that free base, it's really easy to defend your third.
Yeah.
Like, this map just gives you big macro games.
Although, I sometimes wonder if there's a chance that GuMiho might do something crazy and aggressive on this map, too.
Yeah.
Even though it's like you have a lot of builds that you can do. GuMiho just likes to do some kind of initiating
Yeah, he
play.
does. He likes to be the aggressor.
They
for
might
sure
get their
in
macro
TVT.
up a little bit, but then GuMiho's going to start dropping or making 3 cyclones. You know, it's GuMiho. You can always say that he might make 3 cyclones.
Yeah, it's pretty common indeed. And
So, in this matchup, we always want to watch for the tank count as the game goes on. And one thing that's interesting about TY's play, which is pretty orthodox, versus GuMiho's, which is effective, but I'd also put it as experimental. GuMiho doesn't get as many tanks because he's getting these cyclones. And this is where, even if he does do damage, once TY, and it seems like the magic number is 3 for TY, when he has 3 tanks, with his Marines, with the Raven, with the Vikings that he gets, he seems to be able to push and usually do not a crippling but a gimping blow.
yeah. Well, here is the funny thing, right? The tanks are less mobile. So with Cyclones, you can walk around and maybe get some damage on him. In fact, we saw him. He got 7 SCVs, right? And he kind of sloppy lost 1 Cyclone, but I bet you most of the time he doesn't lose a Cyclone. So, like, moves like that can be good. But TY, if you want to stop what TY has for you, all you have to do is make siege tanks. If you make siege tanks, the game just goes longer because TY can't attack with his siege tanks into your siege tanks. And there we are. He's going to attack his Vikings and your Vikings. No, if you're doing basically the same thing as him, he can't really move out at that time. But what he is doing is finding the weak points in these early aggressive strategies with a more solid unit composition overall.
Yeah, and it's funny because, hold up, we got a hidden starport down here.
Yeah.
And that's coming from TY. So I think this is a smart play from TY, just considering how the first 2 games went. TY has room to be creative, room to take risks. I mean, GuMiho has to win this game and the next 2 if he's going to move on. That's pretty tough, especially against TY. You're going to 3-0 TY?
No one ever can 3-0 TY.
You're right, Artosis. You almost fall over.
I stood in my court as I stood up.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
We're standing up right now,
Is
guys.
this Cloak Banshee versus Cloak Banshee? One of which is proxied? I think it might be Tasteless.
I wonder how this ends up. I guess it's whoever's Banshee gets over there first, Artie.
Well, a lot of the times, you follow your first Banshee with a Raven. Obviously, TY won't do that because his starport is across the map. But if GuMiho does that, this is actually kind of good for GuMiho, I would say, right? Because the starport is on the other side for TY, so he has to use scans and turrets and stuff.
I guess you actually make a good point. I was thinking that just because it's GuMiho and he likes to be aggressive, maybe he'd make more, but I guess it depends. If you just get that one Banshee out, right, and come across the map.
Second Banshee. Never mind.
Okay, he was going to get it. I was going to say, well, no, I mean, I think what you're saying is right. I'm just so used to with GuMiho doing the first initial aggressive play. He likes to try to bleed off your SCVs and continue to expand. But yeah, if he's getting the second Banshee and he doesn't have a Viking, then I believe that TY's Banshee can do a lot of damage, but we also have to see how good TY's defense is back at home. And also if GuMiho gets a third Banshee or something like that.
Well, he's making an eBay, right? So there are some things going on for him. Look at this. Where is the anti-air right now for GuMiho? That cloak is just about to finish.
Okay, he's now targeting this Banshee. Okay. Marine's coming up now. Going to get right underneath this, and GuMiho's going to lose that.
Oh, my God.
Huge moment
here. The mine
here.
even hidden underneath. The old TVP trick.
Really nicely done here. Now, TY can start to damage more and more workers, even take out SCVs if he wants. And he takes this cloak here. Still not losing that.
Okay,
10 HP. Bleeding off a scan. A second Banshee headed northbound over here to the upper right side of the map for TY. TY has to be ready for that one as well. But the second Banshee already arriving here.
Did he scan again? That is crazy.
He's scanning. Wait, that's not there, right?
This is some scandalous Banshee harassment.
Oh, wow, Artosis. This is why you are the greatest caster of all time. This is how do we not have that in 7 years of casting that none of us had said scandalous?
No.
So
you got to watch out for scandals in StarCraft, man. Looks like TY walking across the map with his Marines, and that's kind of a weird thing, but has this Banshee, I guess, to poke a little bit still.
Yeah, unfortunately, the SCVs aren't back, or the Marines aren't back at home. So actually, this Banshee is getting a lot of kills here. It's going to have at least a dozen.
Yeah, he's dealing so much damage over on this other side, and this can be part of the problem, right? Like. The Raven was just built by GuMiho because he has a starport in his main base, so he's sitting here following it around. Yeah, he had to use a lot of early scans, but now he can start to push this back a little bit. Great micro, though, by TY.
Yeah, TY is still in this game doing a good amount of damage, and he's still hitting a lot of these workers.
GuMiho right now is just like, I will not make a Viking! Oh, there it is. Okay. It's like, come on, man. It's just floating behind here, getting extra 3-4 kills.
So it's 34 SCVs to 39. GuMiho in the lead. The proxied starport is now headed back home. But it is also 3 bases operational for TY to 2 bases for GuMiho, and GuMiho is just now starting the 3rd command center. So with all that being said, I don't really feel like GuMiho has a lot of opportunities to try to poke in and do more damage, and therefore TY can actually get a lot more momentum as each minute passes onward.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good and important thing here for TY. I think the game is quite likely to slow down from here. They're both just starting stem, so that's like the next thing that could have killed either of them, but now that the game is slowing down, we get to see how GuMiho will likely deal with TY as long as no one dies in the next coming like 4 or 5 minutes, because this is where I feel like TY almost has the peak of his TVT is in his defense against attacks while counter-harassing with Marine Medevac.
GuMiho does a very little bit of damage here, and it looks like now, predictably, he's going to go up here into this base far in the back. I don't believe there's anything here to defend just yet now for TY. Oh, excuse me, there's actually one tank down over here. He actually kind of dropped in the wrong location.
You're so silly, Taze. I think there's nothing to defend here for TY. It's like, okay. It's TY, man. This guy, greatest defensive Terran.
Well, the Raven's going to come in here now, and this is, of course, just common in TVT is to drop the auto turret down here. Only getting 2 SCVs, though, for 2 auto turrets.
That Widow Mine was still behind the geyser, so he got that.
Now, GuMiho is going to continue on with his aggression. Keep in mind, we've had the last 2 games. GuMiho has some kind of aggression. TY shuts it down and then counters across the map. Is that game going to be one of them here?
TY with that tank in siege mode, sacrificing these 2 Vikings does push everything back. Just looks like he should be able to just kill off the siege tank as well.
Seemed like both players were a little bit passive there as that engagement happened. I guess we have a lot more fights going on the map. Great Banshee over here for TY coming down there, and we've already had some SCV kills. That eventually does get cleaned up.
Okay, this has been a true brawl, Tasteless.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nothing making these barracks over here. He might need to get some SCVs on that right away.
Yeah, after all is said and done, it looks like GuMiho, despite such a late 3rd command center, killed enough SCVs with that attack that he's actually up as far as the worker count goes. Sending out a couple medevacs now as well. And his upgrades are really well ahead. Look at that. GuMiho's already got 1-1.
Well, I believe in every game we've had, when upgrades can start to get momentum, he's been ahead.
Yeah.
He actually prefers, I think because he's initiating so much, that he gets overall, oh, hold up. Good job there, taking out the tank. I think what GuMiho's game plan is to have these really solid engages, and use good tactics, and then he has that upgrade advantage. He could probably do a killing blow, even if you're sort of even, if he has his whole army there.
He wants to pounce on your weak points with those stim Marines. But I think that the upgrade advantage, while it's like really strong and really good that GuMiho has that at the moment, is not something that's going to affect TY too much. Because this is going to get to the point now that I've been kind of alluding to a lot that we haven't made it to yet in these games, where TY starts defending pretty heavily. And he'll be able to take a 4th base. He'll be defending everything pretty well. And GuMiho roams around with his whole army, basically, kind of like Ryung in that regard, looking for weak points, right? He doesn't leave a lot at home. But TY will defend with basically the bare minimum and drop you with like 3-4 medevacs of Marines trying to take out your 3rd base or your 4th base or whatever it is. And that's where he finds most of his TVT victories.
GuMiho's moving out with a superior army in supply right now. We can see now the SCVs are being pulled. I think there's too much here for GuMiho. And there's not that much to defend. 2 more siege tanks set up. GuMiho backs out. And it looks like he might want to try to push on top of this refinery. No, excuse me. He's actually going to go all the way around.
Oh, the Viking count starting to pay off a little bit for TY here. Really taking a lot of the wind out of the sails of GuMiho. But that was good by GuMiho. He kills a lot of SCVs there. Keeps interrupting this economy of TY. And he definitely has strong map control at the moment. More and more units coming over.
So we've got these Marines and tanks coming up here. It seems as though TY wants to try to do a counter, but this may be an area of vulnerability here. The Vikings are landing. SCVs once again pulled. GuMiho with a brilliant arc over here, and so many Marines. I don't know if the tanks can do their splash damage in time.
Doesn't look like TY will be able to hold on. GG, yeah. GuMiho finishing off TY before he can get into his very strong late game. TY choosing a little bit of a cheese that game, Tasteless, with the Proxy Cloak Banshee, but GuMiho doing a lot of damage with his own Cloak Banshee.
Okay, GuMiho did it at least in this game. He has to do it again in game number 4 and 5 if he's going to move on. Now, TY, let's keep in mind, did do a proxy starport, excuse me. So he's probably not going to do anything like that again. I think he reverts back to a much more vanilla TY style of play. Just get the right units. Look at what GuMiho might try to throw at you. Stop it, shut it down, counter with a push.
Yeah, I agree with you on this. I think that, as you said, he had a lot of wiggle room in that game because he was up 2-0, so why not try a cheese?
We're going to a short break. When we come back, game number 4, GuMiho versus TY.
I'm just talking to myself.
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성사이다.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
냄새가 나. 어두운 곳에 숨은 냄새를 풍기는 바로 나! 원인은 쾌쾌한 에어컨 냄새. 신제품 페브리즈 차량용으로 상쾌하게. 차량용.
오버워치 아이돌 학교를 소개합니다.
서인서, 우리는 오버워치 아이돌 학교의 교육과정을 성실히 임하며
최고의 게임 아이돌로 성장할 것을 다짐합니다.
좋았어. 이제부턴 진지 모드.
신입생 입학 조건 단 하나. e스포츠와 오버워치를 사랑하고 PC방을 좋아하면 돼요.
뭘 넋을 놓고 보고 있나?
매주 목요일 저녁 10시에 방송됩니다. 오버워치 아이돌 학교.
완전한 판타지 에이스 오브 렌지. 아재분들 나이 드신 형님들도 지금 좀 손쉽게 플레이할 수가 있고, 일단은 메인 이벤트 진행 한번 해보겠습니다. 나 지금 반지 이제 재미나게 하고 있다고? 반지 가장 좋은 시스템이 아닌가. 성물 2개 실어 성배 떴다고? 성물 2개 나왔어 지금? 공격력 3대 게임이 클래스가 있어서 좀 오래 간다고. 그렇지. 빵! 되게 재밌다. 레벨업 할수록 다양한 할 거리가 있는 반지. 나마티 감사드립니다.
When it's silver. All right.
Welcome back to the GSL Codas. Right now we have TY in a lead, but GuMiho is starting that comeback. It's 2-1 in favor for TY, but
well, I think though it's gonna go like you were saying, where TY will probably pull back a bit. Like he had that wiggle room with the 2-0. He did a proxy poke Banshee, it didn't work. Do you think he'll do anything like that again?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's any need to do it.
Although, to be fair, this is a pretty good map for GuMiho's style Whirlwind, right? You know, your bases are kind of spread out a little bit. Definitely very attackable. You can walk around in a lot of angles for GuMiho to get that aggression done.
I'm seeing now in our in the lobby that I'm in that it's warned us, you know, as it does, you've been playing for 4 hours and 43 minutes, and excessive play is bad for your health. Well, here's the thing, guys. GSL Code S has only been on for a little bit under an hour tonight. Let's hope this goes to Game 5, because more GSL is going to make you live a long time.
Fight, heaven shall burn. In a cloud of fire we stand. Fight, wings are war. Are you ready to fight?
Well, that's like why Cortez and stuff couldn't find the Fountain of Youth. It hadn't been invented yet.
That's right. Streaming wasn't available yet.
Yeah. GuMiho.
StarCraft is good for you, as a famous person once said.
That famous person was named Artosis.
That was actually Tasteless.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I probably did say that a long time ago.
No, you said it recently in that interview we did for StarCraft Remastered.
Oh, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah. Well, games are good for your brain.
I take credit for everything. I love you, my brother, Day1, said Artosis.
I'm like, yeah.
You're like, yeah, you probably
I remember you saying that, like, a long time ago in 2004.
My middle name is Alexander. Artosis 2017. It's like
it's so funny.
Just saying facts about you.
Artie.
Yes.
I do think that GuMiho is going to win this game because I'm going for TY here.
I think that TY will win it, but I think that this is a map where GuMiho definitely has a shot. Let's look at these spots. GuMiho actually has a superior spot, positionally speaking.
You can hit that main pretty easily with drops.
Yeah, it's got its whole backside completely wide open, so if we get in that kind of mid-game where you don't really have turret rings and stuff, all your sensor towers aren't up, that's where GuMiho definitely can get quite a bit of damage done. We shall see, I suppose, Tasteless, but that's kind of cool.
Command center now going down for both parties. We do have the first scout coming out right now for TY, so he's going to have confirmation that the starting location is going to be in the bottom right for his opponent, GuMiho. So far, there has been somewhat of a pattern, minus the proxied starport, because we already know what happens with the proxy starport. The proxy guy initiates first. But in any other game, GuMiho gets in there, tends to do a little bit of damage, and that's usually centered around the SCVs. But as GuMiho is doing that damage, TY is killing off some of GuMiho's units. TY then manages to do some kind of a counterattack, especially because he's making tanks instead of cyclones, and GuMiho's punished for it. So one of the big questions I'm asking myself is, are we going to have cyclones again here from GuMiho? Yes, we are. All right.
Oh, and he actually puts down a second barracks very, very quickly here.
Yeah.
GuMiho does. So that's a little bit interesting with that cyclone as well. And TY, he got quite a bit later second gas. So just kind of throwing that out there.
And from here, it's going to have to be a backup now for TY. Oh, very good nade there, actually connecting with that one Reaper. Wow. TY pretty gutsy, even going back in there and getting another shot off here.
Yeah.
All right.
He's not quite able to break through or really do too much.
Second Cyclone now coming out. Now, the reason why the Cyclones can have some strength and allow you to initiate against a style like what TY is doing, oh my god, they went right by. One of the reasons why you can do that much damage is it takes longer to get those tanks out, so you're kind of operating off a little bit less until you can do something about that.
And in little numbers, Cyclones beat almost everything. Like they beat,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so some nice little damage from GuMiho, trying to pick off a few Marines here and there. Definitely can make his follow-up attacks a little bit stronger.
The idea was there to try to block that in with the depot, but it did not quite work out. Now the Reaper's going to come in here, get confirmation on what the tech is from TY. It's pretty similar to what TY's been doing in some of these previous games. Will he get any SCVs? We'll see.
Yeah, and it's important to note that Stim and +1 already started for GuMiho, and this is definitely where he gained a lot of power in the last game. He was always up 2 upgrades, got that Stim quicker than TY as well, where TY is kind of focusing on these early game tech units instead.
GuMiho's just trying to do damage right away, and TY is trying to get somewhere so he can do damage later on. So we have those Cyclones coming up here, and you're totally right, Artosis. With just a few Cyclones against a few units, there's a lot of damage you can do. And if like in this case, TY is not with that unit with his screen on top of it, ready and knowing what to do the moment the Cyclone comes, the Cyclone pretty much picks off the unit.
Yeah. The Cyclones do kind of beat everything early on, but they don't scale really all that well. When you get like a lot of Marines, for instance, they just kind of become worthless. And that's where TY has been punishing GuMiho quite a bit, especially in the first 2 games, but not sure if he'll be able to pull anything like that off this time because GuMiho has made a lot of extra Marines. In fact, he's going to have this +1 Stim and a medevacs with quite a few Marines. So like that's a lot of power. If TY is out in the map, he'll get slammed. Like his unstimmed Marines and a few siege tanks won't really do anything against that.
And in this case, GuMiho wasn't losing Cyclones needlessly. He's already, whenever they've taken damage, he's sent them back and basically repaired them. So, yeah, I mean, let's see if TY maybe makes the mistake of moving that on the map and getting completely owned. I mean, even though TY pushed out earlier and did, in the earlier games, I'm saying 1 and 2, and managed to do something. That was also because GuMiho got a little bit sloppy with that harass. And speaking of which, GuMiho's harass is not ending anytime soon here. Now, remember, game 1, I believe it was, 2 Cyclones in the front and a double Marine drop in the back, right?
It was a single Marine drop.
I'm sorry, a single Marine drop. Thank you.
So it was quicker than this, but this is more deadly. It's got +1 and stim. So this is actually really scary for TY. This could do some crippling damage, but TY's got a good amount of army right here.
Okay, he's coming in right now. There is a Viking in the back to possibly hit these medevacs, but if he gets underneath, okay, it doesn't matter. He can actually escape if he needs to.
That was actually kind of funny that he even did that. Should have seen that coming a mile away, losing that Viking. But he has his Cyclones at the front. He's poking something. Looks like he gets the gas. That's about all he'll end up doing, though, I think.
Is that actually not? Oh, yeah, I guess, yep, tank cannot reach that from up there. So he's denying the gas, but he's also allowing the Cyclone to basically get trapped up here. And that'll eventually be picked off. Meanwhile, we have the drops. He's poked in. He's moved around. He hasn't done enough.
No. Looks like that harassment is over. 4 SCVs ending up falling. Not too much damage, but definitely did some to the gas of his opponent. And he's been taking his 3rd base quickly behind this. So definitely something that we have to keep in mind.
That was close. TY super vigilant there. He does pull back. Again, 3 base versus 2. TY playing the more conservative route, while GuMiho wants to start swinging at his opponent right away. Now, it looks like this could be kind of troublesome here for GuMiho if he ends up dropping in this corner and then trying to stim and run in. He will end up running into siege tank fire. And so, good call there by GuMiho. He decides to back out, scanning, definitely getting that confirmation that at a drop there would have been a very bad idea. Infantry weapons, by the way, just now finishing up here for TY.
Okay, so definitely a little bit later for him, but at least he has his stim. He's taking his 3rd command, but quite a bit later than GuMiho. And GuMiho really showing what we were talking about at the beginning of the game, the kind of advantage that he has in these spots where he's forcing TY to keep units in his main base, to play very conservatively in that regard. And that's just kind of giving GuMiho, like, it feels like a slight advantage by staying aggressive.
You can see that the medevacs are looping around. TY trying to, this is what we call like a pin maneuver, because the threat of these medevacs on the map can a lot of times keep the other Terran player from moving out. But GuMiho's got good defense here with these.
That was awesome. It's like a good 13 supply with 2 medevacs and it being picked off immediately there.
I actually wonder if there's a chance GuMiho picks up and does a counterattack of his own, or if he's going to try to just engage this army in the middle of the map. It is GuMiho with a large amount of supply. I think possibly, well, they're roughly even an army here. It's hard to know if they don't have 1 or 2 units back there defending like Vikings or something to catch medevac. TY is going to go ahead and back up. GuMiho should be getting his 4th base before his opponent, by the way. GuMiho seems to have a lot more momentum on his side.
Yeah, he definitely has that momentum that you speak about with the later 3rd base from TY. TY already having to start a turret ring at the moment. He's making a sensor tower and all that just because his backside is so open to drop harassment. Notice GuMiho once again loading up 4 medevacs, getting ready, but TY is already walking back towards his main base. He's got his units in his natural, so he can move in quickly.
This is a very big commitment here from GuMiho. It seems like TY should be prepared. He just needs to get his siege tanks in position. Oh, he tried to poke in over there, but siege tank's already ready to shut this down, and he's going to have to just ditch this tank. There's nothing he can do. But GuMiho already looking for another opening. He's now rotating those around, those medevacs, I should say, moving up here to try to see if there's another opening he can hit. And I love Artosis this.
Why do you love this, Stasis?
Because this is just a smart play that might cost GuMiho. GuMiho might lose the game now if this isn't found, and GuMiho tries to keep playing, thinking he is where he's going to be. That's, of course, based off whether or not this push doesn't just kill TY. We'll have to see about that. But if this game goes on and TY then takes what looks like a steady 4th base, but it's in fact a 5th.
Yeah.
And on this map especially, this is good in TVT. Scans are so important, you don't end up checking the top of the map that often.
You are quite right about that. Like, especially with like how taxing this is to be attacking your opponent nonstop like GuMiho is. Where do you find the time or something to send to these bases, right? Like, let's say you want to scout every base that you don't have vision of right now. That is a click with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shift clicks in it.
Yeah.
That takes a while. And right now, GuMiho is trying to outspeed TY. He's trying to get around the ridiculously strong defense of his opponent here and get damage done.
Oh, man. This really goes to show you the kind of edge you can get in this position. This is so hard. This basically shuts out circulation until those Liberators are picked off. But those Liberators can't be taken out without absorbing a lot of Siege Tank blows. Meanwhile, a drop over here from TY, sort of, 2 Marines. Now they said he's going to move down here.
That's pretty good.
And he's going to stim forward, and it looks like he does have enough to combat whatever is in here for TY, but the push from GuMiho is not stopping.
Yeah, GuMiho overextending a little bit right there, but this is exactly the way that TY plays. We're finally in this position that we've been alluding to quite a bit. He's defending mostly, but he's trying to get these drops off. GuMiho actually with a great snipe right there.
GuMiho is maxed out, Artosis.
Oh,
TY is actually at 144 right now. Now, that's in part because TY took that hidden expansion up there and was not as invested in some of these other attacking units. But I don't know if GuMiho can break TY. I mean, TY is pretty good at handling stuff like this. He's got a Thor, try to shoot down some of these Liberators that are coming in.
Well, at least he does have that to kind of help out with this air, but he just has to stay very turtled. As you said, GuMiho's army is ridiculously strong. Look how small TY's is. GuMiho just going to stim forward now.
Now, this might end up cutting TY off from his base in the center left. In fact, I think there might be enough Marines, depending on where he chooses to go. He might be able to take out these tanks as well. That was a lot of damage GuMiho absorbed there, but still, this base is exposed, and I don't know if there's an easy way that TY can reclaim it. He cannot. GG! We are tied up 2-2.
Wow. Is TY regretting now that proxy Banshee play on Proxima?
I think he is.
Yeah, because now GuMiho, of course, we do have to mention, right, this map in general going to be pretty good for GuMiho's style, and he did have a positional advantage there that forced TY to be extremely defensive. He couldn't move out on the map quite as much. The next map is going to be Newkirk Precinct. No positional advantage here.
That's right.
Well, I guess the bottom right is a little bit better for Terran because your add-ons are away from your opponent, but that is a tiny thing.
I don't know if that's what we need to factor in with these two.
I think this is the main point. You watch, he's going to kill Stim before it's done or something.
He gets all the important add-ons. We're like, oh my god.
There's no more reactors. I'm like, each of those is an extra barracks T-slash.
Well, let's see what happens on Newkirk. I definitely say no proxy from TY. I think that even though GuMiho really abused the positional spawns on Whirlwind, it's going to be up to GuMiho to win a head-to-head straight-up TVT against TY. He's already won the last 2. Let's see if he can do it one more time.
Fight, heaven shall burn. In a cloud of fire we stand. Fight, we start war. Are you ready to fight? Yeah!
In the bottom left, in the blue, he is
Psystorm Gaming, GuMiho.
It's so funny, Tasteless.
I'll get to it in a second.
I'm excited. I'm like your teacher. Stand up and read the note in front of the class, Tasteless.
I will. I'll read the note. Give me just 1 second. In the bottom right, in the red, he is
Splice TY.
Okay, wait. This is really good. This is not mine, by the way. I'm not plagiarizing this. Somebody else who's funnier than me wrote this, but I need to read. I'm gonna call this the.
Nothing's happened in this game. You just do it.
I'm just gonna read this.
They're mining
There's
gas.
some copy pasta. It says, all right, hold on. It says, Terran gathers, and now my mech begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no stim, hold no CS, father no Marines. I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die at my factory. I am the Hellbat in the darkness. I am the Cyclone on the walls. I am the Thor that guards the realms of men. I pledge my life and honor to the mech gods for this night and all the nights to come.
Wow. This is a great pledge. Sign me up.
That is so funny.
That's good.
Somebody copy pasta. That is really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in just a moment here, the entire chat, no doubt, will be filled with this. Thank you, Tasteless, for this great experience that you're giving everyone trying to watch.
No problem. That was for the people watching the VODs. No, I got to say that's pretty good. I was quite tickled by that. I was beginning to read that. It was texted to me, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. I'll just share this. Now we will see if winter is truly coming, and if the TY Walkers are going to end up overcoming GuMiho anyways.
Yeah. It's well, imagine if TY loses here after starting 2-0. That's like a crazy thing if GuMiho can come back and 3-0 from there. But, you know, that was a very legit win we just saw in Whirlwind. There was no proxy shenanigans or anything. Yeah, slight positional advantage for GuMiho, but that does not mean it's unwinnable for TY. He's aware, right? And he didn't really let that do too much damage to him. It was mostly TY unable to get anything else done. Anyways, taking a look-see, nothing too crazy going on. A reactor to Hellions from GuMiho. Okay, so this is different and weird and neat.
But it also seems to lend itself to some degree of aggression here, right?
Yes.
It's still
certainly.
GuMiho, it's just not the build that he is going to use.
Yeah,
and, you know, I want to point out that this started out with a 2-0 lead here for TY.
Yeah.
And GuMiho's coming back. This is actually John GuMiho.
John GuMiho.
John GuMiho.
Wow.
Yeah.
John GuMiho.
That's right.
Back from the dead.
To lead us all.
I haven't watched Game of Thrones in so long. I'm trying to come up with something.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are, man.
So 4
We're
Hellions.
not that far away from it coming back out, by the way. Okay,
I
so
know, that's so exciting. Look at this. Now he's making a Cyclone and a Hellion. Oh, this is really neat. Could GuMiho have channeled this meme and is going to go mech? It's a possibility. This guy goes mech more than basically anyone.
That's true.
Or should I say mech successfully more than anyone?
Okay, he's actually coming forward now. This Reaper has looped in. This is all very good for GuMiho. He's getting an exact idea of what's going on. Actually, I don't think he got that far left, but he probably knows what TY's doing.
Yeah, like, well, TY is slightly predictable in the matchup anyways, right? Well, this is I mean, he does some harassment in the early game, I guess.
I think the thing is, I don't know if TY cares. If you know what he's doing, that's not really the point.
Yeah,
it's that
not.
what he's doing, he's so good at it. Whoa. Wow. Now he'll probably drop some Marines and then lose this medevac. We will see.
Yeah. Still more Hellions coming out of GuMiho right now, and another Viking. So this right now is really looking like he's going to go mech. This is so sick, Taste. This is so sick.
Yeah. Let's see if it actually pays off. Finally.
Oh!
Okay,
You know,
he does get it.
and GuMiho has been playing for 7 years, right? So he is so familiar with mech styles in TVT. There have definitely been many periods where mech was the most powerful thing to do, most cost-efficient thing to do in TVT. And in fact, there was a period where mass Hellions and then some Vikings with them was a very strong style. It was a short period, but GuMiho was one of the leaders of that. So he's going to really know how to use this, and he's going mech tasteless. This night and every night until the end of his shift.
Now, we will see if this is going to be a good alternative style to play, in this case, against a player of this caliber. The Hellion is going to come in here, do a little bit of scouting. As you can see now, there's definitely some confirmation here for TY as to what exactly is going on in this game. GuMiho, by the way, also taking...
God,
it's always kind of sad to watch a Viking get microed on the ground.
Yeah,
you know,
they aren't quite as sure-footed as they are in the skies, that's for sure. GuMiho's taking his third base right now, continuing to go mech. This is so exciting. Now, let's see how TY switches this up. Will he make siege tanks? Yes, he has a few already, but he just got the confirmation. So there's multiple ways that you can play against mech. You can make siege tanks with bio. That's one way to do it. It can be a little bit hard because you can't really outposition your opponent. Will have more siege tanks. Or you can go mass Marine Marauder and just try to break
style.
them. Yeah, that's like an MMA style or something.
Yeah, MMA or Marine King.
Yeah. There's also, you can go like Marine Marauder for a bit and switch into a Sky Terran a little bit to control the skies and ruin things that way. There's a lot of different ways that you can play anti-mech, but you don't get that much practice because it's just not that popular of a strategy.
Yeah, but sometimes alternative strategies, because you don't get that much practice against it, you're just not as equipped to deal with it.
Absolutely.
Especially if the other guys practice it pretty hard.
And mech is the ultimate alternative strategy. It's like the one thing that, like, just no race gets that much practice against. GuMiho, though, the best mech TVZ player in the world, and possibly TVT at the moment.
TY's response has been to start adding Marauders in here and really double down on infantry. Now, usually when that happens, that actually forces the, in this case, GuMiho, that mech player, to stay back. If you overextend or push out too soon and you're dealing with a very scary amount of bio, you never get the positional setup, to actually do the damage you want to do.
Yeah.
So occasionally you just have to stay back and respect the opposing player. And as you were saying, Artosis, then TY can do a tech leap to something else like air. Will he do that this time? I mean, we don't get to cast a lot of games that are like this anymore.
No.
This was something we really did a lot more of in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, mech is not something you see in TVT nowadays, so this is really exciting. I mean, it's a good map for it. It's pretty straightforward. GuMiho is going to possibly be unbreakable. TY is actually going into Vikings right now. I don't know about this exactly, Tasteless, to be going Vikings at this moment, because he has no real map control. He does not have a bigger economy. I guess he just now started his 4th base. But a lot of times you'll see that later on, like you put on the heavy pressure with your bio and then go into the air. I wonder what he's going to accomplish by getting these Vikings this early.
Well, it actually is a good question. I suppose... Well, I don't know, because I mean the mech army is not that great at trying to be mobile with medevacs and doing that, right? Like it's not a plan that he has.
Yeah,
you can note that we have more. We have Vikings coming out here for GuMiho, though. He sees they're being made, so banking way more Vikings can allow him to basically win the air fight, and then if he stims and comes forward and lands his Vikings on the army,
okay, yeah,
maybe.
Vikings do ridiculous damage against mechanicals, so that. If he finds the right place to land them, they definitely can be very effective. He's making some Liberators now, so I kind of see how those work together. But, of course, Thors can put a big question mark in those plans. And right now, still a very strong air army for his opponent. Looks like TY will use the mobility here. Get a cancel on that 3rd base.
Okay, Shields is about to finish, and this is right before this attack is going to be set up. But TY never really was able to contest this attack that's coming over here right now. Now, there should be the surprise Viking attack here from TY on this army that's going to get set up. But this army is just spilling forward right now here for GuMiho.
Yeah, he's going to have to utilize an air advantage, but with the double Raven out, he has to pull back for the time being. A lot of bio coming down into this 3rd base. TY stimming forward right now.
Now TY can do a lot with a little here. Remember, those mech units, they don't come out at the same rate as the bio units, so you can pretty much gun down whatever is popping out. The mech army here for GuMiho is scary, but not as mobile.
If he can just win the air army, then these Liberators can choke up everything on the ground.
I think this, if TY does this right, I think this can actually be checkmate.
Yeah, I think so. He's dealing a ton of damage to the economy here of GuMiho.
He just gets in there, and all TY has to do is hold his 2nd base.
Yeah.
There's just enough over here that there's no mech units that can come out and combat the infantry army as it stands.
Yeah, he's killing just about everything right now with this bio force, and the Liberators at home, plus the air advantage here for TY. Looks like it might actually be the deciding factor. How dare I question him making those Vikings?
Very smart play here. Very technical response here from TY, but it's not over yet. This is still a pretty sizable army.
Yeah.
There's always a chance GuMiho just goes for it. And I guess this is a smart move. You just target down the Liberator. If you can get that last Liberator over there.
Oh, man, the SCV's being pulled. The bio stimming forward right now. He can land those Vikings like you were talking about, Tasteless. Here he goes. And it looks like TY will clear this army of GuMiho.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think he basically did it. And that answers this, when they go mech, this is the response you can have. And GuMiho is so hiccuped economically. And keep in mind, he lost the majority of his tanks. And Terran, when they mech, they're really trying to build up a really solid tank count. That's usually the trump card there. Is that you just have so much damage that you pull out.
Yeah. And he does have to rebuild that now, so he kind of has to turtle back. Both of them just putting their economies into the Stone Age, so that definitely hurts, but way more command centers for TY right now. He has 4 against 2. So definitely a big difference.
I believe from here, this is a pretty ABC win for TY. I mean, I think he kind of just continues to mass up, and even if GuMiho manages to stabilize and get more mech units, I believe in the end, TY just overwhelms his opponent with just too many Marauders, and there's just not much you can do.
Yeah.
If you lose your big... I can't believe he's getting these Hellions, by the way.
God. There must only be... Yeah, there's only +1 of those Marauders. I'm like, this is taking too many shots.
I know. It's so funny.
What am I even watching? But it's +2 armor on the mech, it looks like.
A lot of times, if you're the mech player and you lose that big army, if your other player is worth anything as a Terran going bio, you should end up losing. I mean, it's just really tough. And that's one disadvantage about mech, because sometimes it's really reliant on you having one really big solid play when you move out.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Not
I think
always,
it's still I think it's still a little bit untested in Legacy of the Void, but just generally we haven't seen anyone be able to really pull it off. The one thing I really like, though, is he's making quite a bit of Thors and Hellions. And with the terrible upgrades that TY has right now, I think that there's still a chance here for GuMiho. Because like
so?
Thors start with 2 armor and then have 2 more, right? So that's like 4 armor and then a double shot from Marauders that only have +1. That's going to take a very long time to kill a Thor. And the Marines are not even going to live because there's going to be Blue Flame Hellions destroying them. So, like, I think there's still a chance.
Well,
like, you can't kill him right now, at least, right?
Well, the thing is that I think because the mech unit count is so low, that TY just starts dropping everywhere, right? And that's the scary part about having the tanks like reset like
and
this.
And then he just does that, and Gumiho's like, no!
I think that when you come in here, because you have to split up your mech army, the Marines and Marauders basically trade more effectively, and even when you're losing the fight, like you can see he's starting to get pushed back, he just picks up and leaves, and it's like, when are you going to push me? When are you going to push me?
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I can land here, and I have a gun.
And I have a gun.
That's what he said.
Yep.
Okay.
A couple of them. But still, this ridiculous advantage in upgrades it's still going to GuMiho. It's going to run out pretty soon as TY is finishing up his own 2-2.
Ooh, you know what, Artosis? Maybe I'm wrong and you're right. I mean, he might have a sizable enough army.
Maybe we're both right, and these guys are just so great.
Yeah.
That, you know.
Or maybe you, me, and everybody watching is wrong, and only they know.
Well, that is for certain the case.
Okay,
but
my bad.
There's different degrees of right and wrong, I guess.
He's beginning to push across here. Now, keep in mind, TY's been operating off of 4 bases for a while, but I don't know if he's been keeping up with production. He seems to have a lot of extra minerals and a low amount of gas, so it seems like there's something lopsided about his economy overall.
Yeah, it looks like even a couple of the Raxes he was making just had to get canceled. He wants to save for 2-2 as well.
Artosis, I think there's a glitch in the Matrix.
It's the same thing happening
It's the same
again?
thing happens again.
The Terran in the red dress.
That's right. That's TY in this case. Yeah, now, the other thing is that we don't have Liberators out yet, though, so there's not, well, I guess even with Thor's out, it kind of changes the whole story. Well, he's actually not going to go for that full-on counterattack.
Well, how do you break this? It's still hard, even though TY's 2-2 is finally going to finish up. It's still like, those are tanks in siege mode, man.
Oof. Okay, he's coming in here. Will he get a good surround? I don't think these mech units are, hold up, getting the tanks. Sorry, guys, this is harder for me to play by play. I don't see this as much anymore.
No.
With the different upgrades the way they are.
Improved Thors. Look at how many SCVs he just killed. TY doesn't have much left here.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I think GuMiho actually did it. Look at this. It's 49 supply.
Don't you ever
TY.
question Mechtasis.
How dare I? Blasphemy.
Okay, the Marauders coming out here and trying to get something done. Hellbats just kind of waddling their way up. Uh-oh, TY might be eliminating the round of 8 again. It looks like it.
John GuMiho has risen from the dead. He is coming back 3-0 after being down 2 games. GG! Well done, GuMiho.
Oh, that's crazy. Look at him. He's like shaking with happiness right now. Based God GuMiho.
That was a crazy series.
The Gumi God himself gets the Gumi nod and moves on to the round of 4 with a mech victory in Game 5 over TY. That was a crazy last game, and those upgrades, the additional Thor armor, there was a lot of things there at the end, I think, that helped GuMiho to just barely break through.
GuMiho came in here very prepared, and TY was outclassed. I certainly thought TY was going to move on, but GuMiho did it, and he deserves our respect. So that's going to be our first player in the Final 4 of the GSL Codeas Season 2.
Look, I don't want to be a mech apologist, but I do want to say that definitely GuMiho came into Game 5 more prepared for this than TY. Being the guy who practices that type of mech, he has a lot of experience. TY, by definition, will have less because it's so uncommon. And like, while the air switch kind of saved him and helped him in a certain way, like, he was skipping a lot of his ground upgrades. He wasn't making enough bio to just destroy everything. I don't know.
And those Thors
it's hard
really
to say.
help.
Not really.
They're really beefy. They're able to get in the way. And, you know, if you're targeting one of them, everything else dies.
네,
So we're going to go to that interview now with GuMiho and see how he's feeling.
역수입으로 올라갑니다. 이보다 더 멋질 수
He made it
있을까요?
to the semifinals.
선수입니다. 축하드립니다.
It's been years. Congratulations.
5
He
years
says
since
thank
he's
you.
done this.
와, 정말 완벽한 승리네요. 먼저 소감부터 들어볼게요.
That was a perfect victory. How do you feel now?
긴장감이 안 풀린 것 같고 그리고 오늘 하면서 솔직히
I was so
자신한테 화가 많이
nervous.
났어요. 너무
네.
And I was actually really
움직임도
upset throughout a lot
맘대로 안
of the
되고
games.
자꾸 꼬이고 해가지고 너무 화가 많이 났는데
A lot of my control, I felt like it was off.
기쁘기만
I
하지
felt like I made a lot of mistakes, especially early on.
그러니까 보완해야 될 점이 많이 보여가지고 좀
I'm also still happy,
다행이다 싶어요.
but I know I'm going to be meeting another Terran in the semifinals, so I got a lot of things I need to fix.
많이 좋으시죠?
네,
I can only focus on Terrans for
아니고
now.
제가 너무 긴장돼가지고
네.
땀이 너무 많이 나가지고
네.
다음에 마지막에도 네
I don't know, I was just so
진짜 너무
nervous.
떨리더라고요.
네, 2대2 상황에서 엘리전
Especially in that last set.
어때요? 막 손도 떨리고.
When we were in that base trade in the last game, I had so much anxiety.
저는 처음에 커맨드 2개 남았을 때 졌다고 생각해가지고 마지막에 에라 모르겠다.
When I thought I had 2 command centers, I thought, oh man, I'm going to lose this series now.
운이 좋았던 것 같아요 마지막에.
But I just went for that attack, and it actually managed to work that final one that won the game.
내준 이후에 3세트 승리, 참 그
After you lost 2 maps in a row,
네.
이전과의 차이도
I think your
느껴졌는데
third
어떤
map
점이
win,
이렇게 뒤집는데
that was a turning point for you. What was the
일단
key
1,
to win that
2세트
game?
할 때는 제가 손이
Excuse
안
me, game number
풀리는
3.
게 느껴졌어요. 그리고
네.
머리도 되게 하얗더라고요. 전태양 선수가 되게
네.
빠르게 찌르고 들어오는데
네.
I thought I just wasn't warmed up enough when I played the first 2 maps.
많이 나고.
I thought TY played really aggressive and really quick.
이제 머리가 안 돌아가기
I
시작해서
couldn't have defended it.
머리는 여전히 안 돌아가고 그래가지고 그때부터는 그냥
I didn't feel like I had the right
준비된
control
빌드
early
덕분에 이겼던
on
것
in those 2
같아요.
games.
빌드 빨리
But in the
이겼어요.
third game,
3세트는 그런데
I
빌드가 똑같았잖아요. 처음에.
played as what I
원래
would have prepared and like how it would have looked like
본진
at home.
벤시라서 제가 좀 더 유리한 건데 벤시 바로 터져가지고
되게 컸던 것 같다.
네.
자, 오늘 이렇게 3대2 쫄깃쫄깃한 승리, 전태양 선수에게 역수입 승리했던 것도
So it's a
중요하지만
3-2 reverse
사실
sweep.
매치별로 전태양 선수에게 이긴 적이 한 번도 없었거든요.
네. 자,
그 점도
And so
깼다는 게
far,
굉장히 기쁘실 것 같아요.
When you
네,
look at your win
정말
rates
기쁘고요. 그리고
against
제가,
TY, today
솔직히
it's been
요즘에
the
좀
biggest victory for you.
거의
How do you
다
feel?
이겼거든요. 웬만하면 잘
네.
안 지고 그래가지고.
Well, recently I've had a
있긴
huge
했는데
win rate
막상 여기 와서
in
해보니까
TBT
좀 다르네요.
matches.
배짱을 좀 더 키워야 될 것 같아요. 확실히.
올 A를 줬던
I think I have
전태양
the
선수에게
guts
이긴
and I think I have what it
거잖아요.
takes to
네.
face the
이제
next Terran
고백
I'm going to be
선수
up against.
A 이상 최소 A 이상 아닌가요?
오늘 경기력으로는 조금
I feel like your mindset's improved. I think you're more than A since
다른 여타 온라인
before.
대회
We're talking about the rankings that we had earlier here, guys.
잘한다고 우승할 수 있을 것 같다 이런 생각은 많이 하긴
Personally,
네. 자,
I thought of
이제
myself as a really good Terran player, but
올라올 또 다른 상대와 맞붙는 그
that's only mostly for online tournaments.
줄수 있을 것 같은데 또 한 번 테란을 만난다고 했습니다. 조성주 선수와
So you're going to be facing another Terran in the semifinals.
고병재 선수의 경기를 관전했었어요.
아, 네.
누가 올라오길 바라세요?
사실
I've already seen Bjorn and Mario. They were watching your games earlier.
그런지 왠지
All
현우랑
5
하고 싶지가
matches,
않더라고요.
they were in the waiting room.
조성주 선수랑 하고 싶고
네.
그리고
He said, honestly, I don't want to play Bjorn.
현우가 또 올라오면
I would actually prefer to meet
연습할
Mario.
사람이 없으니까 이거 좀 이기적이긴 한데
네.
현우랑 연습하려면
And this might be selfish to say.
나을 것 같아요.
아, 현우 선수가 연습을 좀 도와줬으면
Bjorn
좋겠다.
is a great partner.
네. 아, 인간적인 모습.
So I hope I can prepare with Bjorn.
다음 시즌에 도와줄게.
I want him to basically not
알겠습니다. 그럼
advance.
그 메시지 직접
So I won't be able to.
다음 경기 준비할
I need to practice with him.
변현우 선수에게 한마디.
So basically, guys, GuMiho's rooting for Bjorn to lose.
최근에 상금
I just want my friends to lose too.
이번에는
Gary says, "You have any things to say to Bjorn?" He says, "Hey Bjorn, you've earned enough prize money last year. Now it's going to be my turn. Help me out this season.
자, 마지막으로
And then if I win, I'll help you for the next season."
보고 계시는 팬분들께 한마디 들어보겠습니다.
Before we close the interview, anything you'd like to say to your fans?
경기력이
Yes, thank you for all your support, guys.
죄송스러운 마음도 있는데 오늘은 이겼으니까 그래도 좀
I
봐주시길
feel
바라고요. 다음번엔
sorry
더
to my
잘하도록
fans.
하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
I didn't have
네,
the
알겠습니다.
greatest games here
그럼
today,
다음
but I'm still going to
뵙겠습니다.
show some better performance next time. Cool.
이렇게 첫 번째
Well,
4강의 출자
that's no
고병재
joke,
선수를
man. Taking
만나봤는데요.
out TY in a
Yeah.
reverse 3-0 sweep.
That's
After
pretty
being down 2
wild.
games. It's pretty good, man.
And I mean, he is one of the big underdogs in this round of 8, right? It's
Yeah.
like him and Rogue are the ones that we don't think of as finals championship material.
You would rank them the lowest, even
Yeah.
though like we're in the top 8 players in the world right now.
Yeah.
Top 8 in Code S, but
everyone else is like a champion, basically.
It does go to
And
show
so-
you that the times change.
Yeah.
GuMiho has gotten a few percentage points better, and that's allowed him to topple players like TY in a best of 5. So good on him.
Yeah, and I think he's probably favored to make it to the finals. His TVT is awesome, but our next one is another.
You should
TVT.
check out our announcer pack. You can get it on the StarCraft 2 launcher. Check it out.
I was thinking that we should just falsely advertise, but guys, the announcer pack actually is a very. It will do your homework for you.
That's right.
So what you do is you have your homework, you upload it to your computer, and then play with the announcer pack.
There you go.
And we just.
Check out that announcer pack. We put a lot of love into it. We hope you guys enjoy it. We are going to go to a short commercial break. When we come back, our second TVT Best of 5, Beyond versus Mario. Stay tuned.